Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Real Talk. I am Sean Brown, and today we're here with Nicollette Mollett, who has, I think, the coolest sounding name in photography just because it rhymes super well and just kind of rolls off the tongue. And she is an amazing fashion and senior photographer based out of the Dallas, Texas area, and I'm super stoked to have her on here today and kind of pick her brain a little bit about kind of what it's like being both a fashion and kind of infusing that fashion photographer and infusing that work into her seniors. For those of you who don't know Nicollette, she is also going to be a speaker at the 2018 Push Conference. So we're super stoked to have her there and actually get to meet her in person just because I've followed her work and it's so uber amazing. So first off, welcome to Real Talk.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be on with you. Thank you for having me.
Nicollette was told me she was a little bit nervous, but I told her that we're a pretty nice crowd and we won't leave mean YouTube comments or anything like that. So first off, tell us a little bit about yourself and kind of your business, the mix between the fashion and then also the senior side.
Yeah. So my attention is a little split because I do tend to do commercial work as well as senior portrait photography. But one thing I do, I try to keep that fashion and beauty aesthetic within both. So right now I'm kind of living in a loft situation where it's work and, living. So
Yeah.
It's kind of like, it's my entire life, but yeah, I guess, did that answer that?
Yeah. Yeah. Kind of like maybe give us a little bit of background about like kind of when you started shooting, how you fell into it, that sort of thing too.
Okay, cool. So this is basically pretty much the only job I've ever had. I had an interest in photography back in middle school when America's Next Top Model became a thing. And I started just taking pictures of my friends, like just having fun, playing dress up. And then, do you know what Zynga is?
I don't.
Okay, so this is pre-MySpace.
Okay.
Like the beginning days of like social media.
Yeah, see, I'm like an OG MySpace person. That's like what my first introduction to social media.
Oh, okay, so yeah. That Zynga was like, that's where it started. So, so I started taking pictures of my friends for like their profile pictures and like their posts or whatever. And then photography just kind of became a hobby of mine. But I always knew I wanted to do something in fashion as far as like a future career. And so then I just remember one day, I think it may have been like 2008 or 2009, in high school, I had a friend come up to me and she was like, "Hey, my mom said she'll pay you to take my senior pictures." And I was like,
money.
Yeah. So, I think I charged $5 a photo.
Nice. High roller. I like it.
Yeah, maybe edited about like 35 photos. So, humble beginnings. And then since then, I've just kept doing senior pictures, but I always, I thought I was going to do something in fashion, whether it was like journalism or like design or, something, but I never thought maybe I'll pursue photography because that just kind of seemed like kind of a hard path to go down, especially charging only $5 a photo. And then just like the last day of my senior year, I was like, you know what? I need to just pursue, this is what I love to do. So I went to the Art Institute of Dallas, got a bachelor's degree in photography. And then I always kept doing senior pictures, but it was kind of just a way to make some income. And then just thought, I want to be a big fashion photographer someday, which that may still be true. However, now I've just really grown to absolutely love senior portraits.
Wow.
And it's become like a huge passion of mine. And simply because not only is it really fun to play dress up with these girls and like bring the fashion vibe to them, it means so much to me when I can completely change their own view of themselves. And especially at a time when they're so young and the insecurities are like, so intense. And then their moms, like the moms are just as like happy with it. And, they see their little girl in a different, it's an emotional, uplifting experience. And so I really find it fulfilling.
Yeah, so you just kind of like almost fell into senior portraits where it just started as a hobby and then all of a sudden somebody's like, oh, hey, I'll pay you. And you're like, oh, okay, cool. I could use some extra cash right now.
Yeah.
Did you ever think that it would kind of turn into something like this where you're at today?
I didn't really think about it like up until I guess I just realized, you know what, I want to take this to the next level. But I always had fun with it. I always thought, maybe, yeah, this would be fun to continue doing, but I never thought I would take it to this, level.
So talk a little bit about, you talked about getting a degree from the Art Institute in Dallas. Did you ever have any other training in terms of fashion work besides that, or was that pretty technically focused? Or kind of tell us a little bit about, I guess, the formal education side, because not a lot of us have had the opportunity to go through that.
Right. So there was only one fashion photography class in my whole bachelor program. And I happened to be one of very few students who wanted to pursue fashion photography. So I took a lot of classes that I was like, okay, I don't care to, take pictures of buildings or, it's just I took a lot of classes that I feel like I didn't really need.
Yeah.
But just kind of diving into all of those different types of, I guess, subjects kind of expanded my, it made me for sure know this is what I want to do, fashion photography and portraiture. I took photojournalism in high school, and I took yearbook, and I hated them. I was like, okay, I do not want to go take pictures of a football game because I don't know what the heck's going on. But it definitely, that's where I learned, the technical side of the camera. Actually, no, scratch that. We were taught the technical side. I'm not technical.
Yeah.
We were taught how to use a camera in high school, and I never figured it out until college. And even still, I'm still not technical. Yesterday, I did a photo shoot with Jen Bertrand, my girl.
Which was amazing. I was following along on social media.
Thank you. And I had a technical issue for the first time in years, and it was just hilarious because she was like, "Oh, duh, right here." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe it." Anyway, sorry, I went off topic.
No, I love it.
But yeah, I definitely think the best teacher, I'm very grateful for the Art Institute, and I met a lot of connections and great relationships with my professors, and I got to work, hands-on with high quality equipment, which was really nice because I got to know what I would like to, I ended up getting pro photo because that's just what I got used to using in school. But oh no, I lost my train of thought. Okay, so I definitely think formal education is a good thing. But the best teacher is experience and just diving into it and feeling it out, just seeing what you like. I mean, just doing it. That's the best teacher.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about your inspiration between fusing fashion with senior portraits. How did that come about? Because you were one of the few photographers in the senior industry who, from what your Instagram feed shows, primarily shoot studio stuff. So kind of how did that come about, and what was kind of the inspiration between okay, I want to just do mainly just studio stuff with my seniors?
I would say that started with America's Next Top Model and looking at Vogue and growing up looking at all these fashion magazines and stuff, because you mainly see a lot of, what stood out to me was the studio portraits. Yeah. I was like, how can I do that? And then in high school, my parents for Christmas one year got me these studio lights that use strobe lights, which was the cool. I look back and those lights are so bad, but I was like, wow, I can actually try to achieve this look. And so ever since high school, I've been experimenting with strobe lighting and studio lighting. And so when I went to the Art Institute, it just kind of exponential. That's what I did for all of my projects, and got better and better at it. And so actually on location is going outside of my comfort zone, which is funny. I know a lot of photographers
a lot of it's flopped. Yeah.
And I don't know, it's been just trying to achieve that fashion vibe.
Yeah. So one of the other things when I was talking about to Nicollette about kind of what do you want to talk about a little bit, and one of those things that you mentioned was your goal to really show those girls kind of their true beauty, build self-worth in them. So talk about how you were drawn to that, or maybe how you kind of pull out those emotions from them through photography, since I think as photographers we have a really important job, which is like capturing somebody and being able to show them like what they how they appear to others, capturing their personality. It's a big job, and not everybody has that honor to do. So how do you kind of do that as a photographer, and how are you drawn to wanting to do that originally?
So like I said, it first started just from being inspired by fashion photography. And so I kind of, with seniors, I kind of was like, well, I'm just going to use this as an opportunity to kind of practice fashion photography. And so that's really how I started incorporating that fashion look. And then just throughout the years, I've just kind of realized, you know what, this is about the senior. This is about them. And so now my inspiration for every senior shoot derives from their personality and, you know, who they are. Like when I do consultations currently, I say currently because my business model is always changing.
Yeah.
But I love the consultation because it kind of gives me a preview into who the senior is. And and I don't know, it's very difficult, and it takes time to learn how to really bring that beauty out of them. But what I feel like what makes a senior beautiful is really highlighting, I mean, it's personality. I mean, you can have the most beautiful girl, but if she doesn't have a great personality, she's not as pretty anymore. You know what I mean? So it's really trying to bring that inner beauty out of them, whether it's, you know, trying to make them laugh for real.
Yeah.
You know, you can't just say, okay, laugh. You know, you kind of have to really try to make them laugh, which is hard sometimes, especially if they're really shy. But yeah,
It does. Yeah, I like that. Yeah. Was that something that, if I guess if this isn't too deep, was that something you felt kind of personally drawn to in a way, being a female photographer? Because as a male photographer, I think I have a very different outlook on kind of what it's like to be a high schooler. So was that something that kind of, you were like, oh my goodness, like this was totally me like 4 years ago or something like that?
That's so interesting because, yeah, I think that female photographers shoot way differently than men, but both equally so great in their own way. For me, I can relate to a lot of these seniors. And I'm sorry, what was the main gist of?
Kind of like, were you personally drawn to it in a way, or like, I guess relate to it in a more personal way than say maybe like a male photographer or another photographer who is maybe more removed from high school? Because you're a younger photographer, just like me. So I didn't know if you had maybe a different take on it.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
No, you're all good.
Yeah, I definitely, like I said, I can really relate to them. And I guess I would say nowadays it's so, like, as being a young girl, just the media and everything, like, being beautiful is a very aesthetic thing in America, I feel like. And what I've just learned through photographing people is, I mean, anybody, you can bring beauty out of anybody, no matter what they look like. And yeah, and I love to get deep. I can get deep. I love talking about this stuff. And I don't know why I'm like having a hard time explaining myself, but
I think it's also sometimes hard to externalize too, where it's like, you know, in your head, like what you're doing is kind of like prepping to teach something, where it's like, cool, I know what I do, but I like, now I have to put it into words and like tell people about it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very, yeah, I guess it would just be, I really understand those insecurities, and I definitely understand being that age and wanting to be liked and feeling beautiful. And what I really want to show people that, or young girls, is that it's not just about that. Like, you can be beautiful, but it's definitely about bringing out your personality.
Yeah. So you mentioned that you do client consults, or at least as of right now you do. Kind of walk us through a little bit about why you decided to do that, just because I think that that's something that not every photographer does. Like I personally don't, just because I don't necessarily have the time because our senior season is squeezed into a period that's so small. I don't have the time to spend an hour with 30, 40 seniors a year. So kind of how did you come about that? And I guess what benefits do you feel like that has to your business for photographers that might want to be jumping into doing something like a pre-consult?
Yeah. So the consultations are actually a recent thing. I started doing this a year ago. And the reason I decided to do it is because I felt like my work was becoming a little stale. Like I felt like it was just kind of all starting to look the same. And I just was like, how can I continue making each senior have a unique experience where it's like not like any other? And so I thought, well, I need to get to know them a little bit. I need to know their style. I need to know what their, who are their favorite celebrities, their favorite, like what kind of beauty do they like on them? And so during the consultation, I find it to be, it's kind of like fashion shoots. Like for fashion shoots, we tend to make a mood board and we talk like there's a lot of pre-planning involved. And so I'm trying to teach or treat every senior shoot like a fashion shoot where we have that pre-planning, and I create a Pinterest board for them after the consultation, after I've gotten to know them a little bit. Also, the consultation helps me get to know their mom or dad a little bit better too, which is nice because some moms like really want, a nice shot outside smiling.
Yep.
Seniors like, no, I want edgy. So, it's kind of helps me pre-plan to get a little bit of both for both of them too.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say. And so consultations are also really good because it gives me an opportunity to sell, which is that is a whole nother topic. Like selling and business side, that is been the hardest part for me throughout my career. And I feel like consultations has really helped me like nail that sell because first of all, I'm getting to know them and they're getting to know me, and they're starting to feel comfortable around me and know that I'm not, a stiff photographer that's just going to like stand there with the camera. I'm there and I have their best interests and I care about them, and I want them to look and feel beautiful. And I want to make sure that they have the ultimate senior portrait experience.
Yeah.
So it's helped me sell the value.
So going off of that, you mentioned that business and selling and that sort of thing is kind of like, that's the trickier side for you, which I think a lot of photographers, you're very business minded or you're very kind of artistic minded. So what has been like the biggest thing that you've done in your own business to kind of help you along with that for maybe other photographers that are listening in and you're like, oh my goodness, like I don't know how to sell to my clients. Like I absolutely can't. Kind of what has been the biggest things that you've learned along the way and kind of implemented into your business to help that out?
It's been a long and hard, tough road. I have to say, I've shed a lot of sweat, blood, and tears, like literally all three of those. Just the business side of this is definitely not my strongest suit. But you have to push through you have to push through it and really try to figure out what's the best thing to do for your business. And so I think the best thing that has worked for me is having a structured system, which took me like a couple weeks to really narrow down and put together. And what I've noticed that is clients don't really know what they want. And so when you give them a guideline, a structured guideline that like is easy to understand and lays it all out for them, then they're like, oh yeah, it is that. I would like that. So what I've done is I've just I have my products here, and then I have and then I have my like services, and this is all listed out for myself personally. And then I put my prices on them. So I have that down. That is unchangeable. That is what they cost. Whatever. Negotiation is always, I'm always open, but that's what these are. And then what I've just done is I've created collections, like packages, to kind of serve as a guideline. So this one has the most value. This one has this, but it has that, And so I would say really just having that preparation has been a huge help. in my business.
Preparation. Yeah. I think that's something that a lot of photographers, I think that when they're struggling with that, they don't necessarily have a set routine that they go through every time. And I think that's something that's so important is, like you said, having that preparation, or those guidelines, those steps, that foundation to really hit every single time. That's really important to, I guess, create kind of that consistent client experience. So leading into that, part of your client experience is you've always mentioned that you want to kind of have that utmost like client satisfaction. So what kind of steps do you do, or what are some things that you do to try and to elevate that experience to be the best that it can be, and maybe say, oh my goodness, I'm so glad I went to Nicollette over, say, like another photographer because of this?
Yeah. Well, I think that number one is really nailing down like what it is that they want. And then, and some seniors don't really know what they want, but really just kind of like, that's what that Pinterest board helps me with, is really finding out their personal style. And so it's very personalized. And I think that's number one. And then as far as like customer satisfaction, I really make sure that I go above and beyond from what their expectations are. And so, if I have a client that pays me $3,000, I shoot for as if they're paying me $5,000. I really go and give them a little extra. And also maybe even just like little things like I've noticed that have really made seniors really excited and happy, is creating those little videos for them, or giving them like a sneak peek, like the night that we picked out the pictures. I think just things like that really excite them, and
I love it.
Delivering at a timely, when you say you're going to do it, or sooner, just like really just going through your list of to-dos and as soon as possible, or
exactly. I think it comes down to what is it, under promise, over deliver phrase that everybody says. So going back to day one of your business, what is one piece of advice that you give yourself?
Oh, day one. First of all, day one, that first senior shoot, I would say be decisive.
Yeah.
I would say that's a huge one, actually. Even still, I try to tell myself to be decisive because,
Decisive in which ways? Is that maybe?
Always.
Okay.
Always, like say day one, for example, shooting 10 looks in like 10 locations, at the end of the day, you're exhausted and you only got paid like $10, and as far as now, it kind of has to do with, choosing the outfits and stuff, like really being decisive and being efficient with time. That's a huge one, because time is money. Time is something that you can never get back. And so, decisiveness.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's me or if it's a female thing. But like, I'm not a decisive person deep down. I really would love, I'm very go with the flow. I would love to be like, if I'm in a relationship, I want him to decide where we eat,
Yeah. I think that's actually every girl I've ever dated is. Yeah.
So I would say decisiveness is a big one.
Yeah. Awesome. So where can people find you on social media, websites, all of that good stuff?
Okay, so my website is seniorsbynicollette.com. That's 2 L's, 2 T's. And on Instagram, or pretty much every social media platform, it's Seniors by Nicollette. And then also, if you were interested in checking out my commercial work or my fashion work, which I need to update, NicoletteMollett.com or at Nicollette Mollett social media.
Perfect. And we'll also link those down in the YouTube description box below, so you guys can just be lazy like me and just go ahead and click those and be sent to the profiles. So we'll end on you getting to ask a question to the viewers. So you get to ask them a question. It can be personal, it can be business related, it can be really whatever you want. If you guys are not subscribed already to the YouTube channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button below, and that'll keep you up to date on all of the other Real Talks that we release. We're going to be releasing these throughout 2018, so be sure to not miss a single episode with your guys' favorite photographer speakers. And then also, if you guys have not already emailed me and there's a speaker that has not been on, shoot me an email letting me know that you'd like to see them, and we'll try and make that happen for you. So to wrap up this episode, we'll go back to Nicolette's question for you all.
So is this like a question where they can respond?
Yeah, they're going to answer down in the YouTube comment box. Yeah.
So I've really been thinking about lately offering maybe workshops or like teaching. Yeah, I don't know, like maybe, I don't know. I've had people ask me this throughout the years, if I offer this kind of thing. And I have done like a couple workshops here and there, and I've really enjoyed it. And I really enjoy teaching. And so I guess my question would be, if I were to start doing this and make time for it, what are some things you guys would like to learn from me, whether it's business or, aesthetic wise or lighting or studio? Yeah, let me know. I would love to know like what people are wondering.
Love it. Like what people want to know about studio.
Sure. Yeah.
Sweet. Awesome. Well, thank you again so much, Nicollette, for making the time out of your day to come on here. Like I said before, if you guys are thinking about investing in your education this year, like I mentioned before, Nicollette is actually going to be speaking at the Push conference for this summer. So if you have not snagged one of the last seats available, make sure to do that, just because I know that her what she's going to go over is going to be worth its weight in gold. So super excited to meet you this summer. And then thank you again for coming on today to Real Talk.
No, thank you.
Yeah. Awesome. So we'll see you guys next time.